morning. He shot 26 people in just 32 seconds. Among the dead, his own sister and Eva Pilgrim.
The Ventura County Sheriff says a gunman opened fire inside as it was crowded with more than 100 people, many of them college students.
At least 59 now dead.
America has a very apparent gun violence issue. Around the world, guns were used for recreational purposes and self-defense, but now have been used to cause mass violence.
Made more than one phone call to 911 to pledge his allegiance to ISIS, and this man says to him, an employee of a local news station.
He said, "I'm the shooter. It's me, I'm the shooter."
In 2019 alone, there have been around 350 mass shootings, totaling up to almost 400 fatalities and over 1,000 injured. The United States in particular has recently seen an extreme increase in mass violence.
And the city's French Quarter. Gunfire erupted there on Sunday, injuring at least 10 people. ABC's Victor Oquendo.
Many of these attacks have gained national notoriety, like Columbine, Sandy Hook, and Parkland. The last one got more attention not for the actual shooting, but the aftermath. After the 2018 attack, Parkland students who survived began to voice a need for gun reform, as the United States faces what seems to be increasing gun homicide and suicide rates. Many people have begun to lose hope at what looks like an impossible challenge. But there is more at work behind the scenes of all the cruelty, and a national solution might be within reach.
I'm in the California Army National Guard Counter-Drug Task Force. Well, my background understanding the gun laws and the violence that's happening is just from what I hear. I don't do very much independent. I know that there's an issue with gun violence in this country, and just hearing and learning more about how those are happening is based off of my knowledge.
The National Army Guard is a part of the United States military. They have many different jobs, but are both similar in nature. And while it's very easy to say the situation is grim, there are more people making a difference who give us a hope for change in gun violence. It's important for America to become educated in the uses of firearms, and a good amount of people are beginning to. Take people like Jacob Bellinger, owner of the firing line in Clovis. Jacob teaches how to fire and be safe around guns, which then allows people to purchase firearms. We even get concealed carry licenses for self-defense purposes.
Part of the problem with why things are the way they are now is because of a lack of training, a lack of understanding, and a lack of desire to have that, or to get that training and understanding.
Foreign countries have stricter gun control, leading to less violence. In Australia, all guns, including non-restricted guns, have to be registered and a background check is required.
It's much harder to purchase a gun in a state, say, like Peru, which is a state that I study. It's much more difficult to purchase firearms there than it is here in the United States. In a lot of Latin America, actually, it's a lot more difficult to purchase weapons.
India is the second largest state that has the most firearms. India has an estimated 71.1 million firearms, and the United States has 393 million firearms. And America owns the most guns per person.
It's always been an issue here in the States. It's just that now, because it's more at front, people are more aware of it's happening, or more in tune when it does happen.
Others may just like to hunt and don't necessarily carry guns often. No matter the purpose, people have valid reasons for gun ownership. Sadly, it's the 1% who mess up the whole reputation.
You don't see the same types of mass murders, mass shootings that we have here in the United States, whether it's at a school or a Walmart, or unfortunately in our town.
Mass shooters who wouldn't get past a background check have other means for getting guns. They might have open access to guns from family members, or they may get a gun from the illegal gun trade. However they get the guns, they are able to perform their desired attacks while avoiding all precautions. Many people have placed different causes on why shooters do what they do. The claims range from domestic issues, to a want of recognition, to even an unhealthy amount of video games. But what's commonly upheld is that it's a mental health issue. And that's where school psychologists come in. What they do is help students calm down and control their emotions. The school psychologists help ease the minds of high schoolers. While psychologists stop gun attacks indirectly, others are also trying to put an end to the huge amount of gun attacks in a direct way. Organizations have been created to help. informing people who are unaware or uninformed of what is happening, and fight for change.
Brady Group, this is on the heels of the Brady Law, passed, I believe, in the early 90s. It was during the Clinton administration, I think the beginning of his administration, 92, 93. The law went into place in 1994. This law, over the past 25 years, has prohibited gun sales of over 3 million.
People marched to the White House to call on lawmakers to pass stricter gun laws. Some groups take to the streets and perform peaceful protests. Some examples of organizations that have stepped up are that of the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence, Everytown for Gun Safety, and Giffords, Courage to Stop Gun Violence. Even some local groups have popped up, such as March for Our Lives Fresno. These are all non-profit organizations dedicated to combating gun violence. All of these groups wish to both inform the general public, as well as advocate for better national policies. These activist groups are trying to send a message large enough that it gets to Capitol Hill, in an effort to get gun reform. People tend to look at new gun laws in terms of the extremes, whether that be instituting full-on gun control, or just not doing anything at all. People are just not willing to lower their immediate expectations and just look for a compromise. It's very easy to pin it on the big guys for not doing anything about the gun crisis. But then the other side is yelling at the advocacy groups, saying that they can't solve the problem. The solution doesn't come from just the big guys in the government or the little guys on the streets. People like Jacob, teaching gun safety, or the psychologists, helping mental health in youth, or even the peaceful protesters, are the key to solving this issue. The lawmakers have a hard balance to keep guns in the hands of good people, while somehow taking away the guns from the bad people.
It'll never be gone. No matter what you do, the bad people will always have it.
Needless to say, they've got years of bills and laws ahead of them. Increasing amounts of people have become concerned about gun laws in the US. The supposed issue is that people cannot seem to agree on how strict laws should be. However, reports show that the majority of US citizens actually agree on both instituting stricter background checks and getting guns out of the hands of those who are mentally ill. The problem this brings is exactly how we can institute this successfully. In the United States, about 310 people are shot every day. This is a combination of both homicides and suicides. Mass violence around the world are usually homicides or suicides.
Oh my God. What's going on? What just happened?
Times have changed, technology has changed, and as a result, I truly believe legally that Americans or U.S. citizens, we have the right to bear arms, but to a certain extent.
New laws can be made.
Smart, logical, rational gun control laws, I would argue, are smart, would assist.
Well, I think that a lot has to do with how it's portrayed on TV and how it comes up on all of the social media outlets that are available today. You have a lot of negativity plus a lot of positives happening, which causes people to interact. Before it was just more of like, here it is on the news, we talk about it over the kitchen table, and then we just move on from there. Now it's in your face constantly, and it's always being brought up, which kind of sits in the back of your mind. Kind of like when you're studying for a test, you're learning about something, and then when you see the question, you're like, oh, I know the answer. And that's what's happening with gun violence.
So while the government has to work through the stalemate they're currently in, the people here in the Central Valley and all around America are the people who give us hope that this issue is coming to an end. As long as everyday people are willing to continue contributing their everlasting support to a growing issue, there is still hope that a solution will come along to heal our country. So while people may be worrying, the situation is not always as bad as it seems. As long as people keep looking out for each other, our future is looking bright.